I got the motors installed here. Pretty straightforward install. For the motors, they are just 2 bolts on each motor. You can see here, the two front ones have shims that have to be installed. Everything is loose right now, so I can still adjust everything. And the back one's pretty straightforward as well, just 2 bolts that hold it in. This one's a little loose as well. On a rough country E-step or E-board steps on a 2024 Tacoma hybrid, and the control module here does not fit the location they call for on either side. Currently underneath the passenger side, this is the rear motor here. We got 2 of the factory bolts removed here. Right here, there's no holes. And another set of 2 here, and then the front motor here. Now the issue is this control board here, the brains of the operation. This already comes pre-assembled, and it's supposed to be installed in one of these 2 holes. You can see I cannot get this to line up. It's hitting the motor here, and ideal location would be right here in the middle, where it's actually in the middle between the 2 motors. And then the other set here in the front, I don't know where, right there. I cannot put this in here either. Got this and this in the way. All right, I'm gonna try to take the controller off and see if I can rotate the orientation of this to get it to work. All right, this is the front passenger motor. This is where the control box is. I took the control box, which is normally mounted on the top side here. I flipped it and mounted it on the bottom side, and I pulled down on the bracket. You can see just a little bit to bend it so it can clear. There's like a little hump right here that this thing hits against, and that allows it to fit here. With the wire harness installed, it has to be in the front one here. The rear one here is too far away with the control pointing back. It's too far away. So I decided to give this one a shot. We'll see once we get the wires installed and see if that's going to be a good spot. Plus the wires have to go towards the front anyway, so this will give me more wiggle room. And however they did the wires, they made the rear motor harness a lot longer than the front one, so it reaches a lot better with this mounted in the front. All right, on these hybrid models, the 12-volt batteries in the back seat behind the driver's side. 2 clips on each, or 2 clips on the driver's side seat, and then a 3rd clip on the passenger side seat. And once you take those clips out, the seat will flip up. You can see the seat just flips up, and they're just held down by these plastic clips. That is crazy. And there it is, full-size 12-volt battery. I was expecting a lot smaller battery in these, being a hybrid, but you got a decent sized battery in here. Looks like it's got all the hybrid battery pack in there here as well, and possibly some of the control modules. So this will give us access to 12-volt power for the boards for the E-steps. Normally this would be under the hood. That's where it's supposed to be routed. Next part, try and see if it's long enough to make it over here. Trick to keep the seat up. If it doesn't want to stay up, it's just wrap the seat belt around it. That should be enough to give it enough tension to hold it up. All right, on the hybrid model, we're gonna run these 3 wires here into the cab. I believe that's gonna be the override switch, and then these are gonna be the 2 door switches. All right, passenger side, front seat area, you can see right up here, there's a little grommet. I already took it out right here, and I did a slit in it, basically a plus, and we're gonna run the wires down the center and then reinstall it and have the wires run through here. We got the wires ran through the grommet. You can see it ran right past the slit, and make sure you get the orientation correct, because the plug's supposed to go in this way. So therefore these wires are going to go inside the cab, and right above the passenger front seat panels are easy to take off. You can see I already got this one and the kick panel taken off. The kick panel has a little plastic screw back here, one of these that holds the kick panel in place, and it's just right here. And you got to take this door seal off first. They're just clips, soft clips on the front and back, easy to pop out, and then you'll be able to hold the carpet up. These are what holds the carpet down right here. They're just keyed in here. They just pop right out. You just pull up on them. I took the front two off, and this should give us enough room to get under here. Pull up on the sound under the carpet, and if you look just underneath this plastic, there's a hole right there. You can pop this up if you need to, but there's plenty of room for us to run the wire through, so that's what we're going to do next. All right, you can see I got the 3 wires ran through the hole. A little tricky with the frame right above or right below this hole. I'm just going to pull the wires all the way through and reinstall the grommet. You can see I pulled the harness all the way through and left the shield right up against it. And you can see it's a pretty clean finish install as well. There's the rest of the wires going into that hole there. We're just going to reinstall this, plug it back in. Grommet's reinstalled. Harness is going to run out to the back over here. A little tricky to do with the frame right above it. Just got to play around with it from this side of the frame, and you should be able to get your hand from the other side as well. All right, so right below the battery, and it's probably going to be hard to see, but it's underneath here. I'll go underneath the car and show you. Alright, so underneath the battery, there's this wire loom that runs in. It's a rubber grommet here, and I pulled it out, and I already pre-ran the battery wire in, and it's just long enough, with just enough wiggle room on the harness to not be an issue. But the problem is, got these 2 fuses here that has to fit through here, which it will, but I like to have it fit through the center and not out the side here and have a chance of the wire getting cut. There's no way I can cut a slit here big enough and still be able to fit these 2 fuses through. I'm gonna have to cut the wire and re-splice them back together. What I did here was cut back on the electrical tape, and once you get this out, you'll have electrical tape on this to the wires. I peeled back on that. Be careful not to nick any of the wires, and now we have access to feed the 2 wires through here and utilize the factory grommet here to run the power and ground wire up to the battery. We're gonna cut the wire here and run just the 2 wires through that hole, and then splice them back together. Staggered the cut here and prepped the wire for them to be reconnected, and I cut it a little further back on the harness, as you can see here, because I figure it'll be easier to run this wire from the top down and then reconnect them at the bottom versus trying to feed it up there, cut it kind of high, and deal with trying to get them back together while up inside the battery box in here, because there's not much room to work with. So I got a trusty coat hanger ran through the grommet here, and it's fed over to the wire with the fuses on there. I got it electrical taped together, and we're gonna pull it through, and it should feed it through this itty bitty grommet here. They Toyota really made it to really only fit 3 wires, but this is rubber and it will stretch for it. You can see it's ran through. I did spray a little bit of silicone spray on there. It helps tremendously to get the wire fed through, because electrical tape is a little grippy, especially from electrical tape to the rubber grommet. The silicone makes a huge night and day difference. All right, not gonna lie, that was probably gonna be the hardest part of this installation, is running this wire through. And you can see it's all the way through. And these 2 will still be big enough, or the hole's big enough for me to feed this back up. Got them all put back together. I use these like solder butt connector style joints here. I'm gonna run some electrical tape over them. It took a lot longer than I expected, but you can see it's routed in through the factory grommet here. It's all taped back up, and try to keep it looking as OEM as possible. Taping was the hardest part, especially with the tight space I got here, but that's all done. The top side here, You can see the ground wire. It's got plenty of slack to make it over to the negative side. The positive side is just looped through the hole right now, or the stud, and you can see there's plenty of slack in here for any movement there may be. Fuses are not installed yet. All right, it's time to install the magnetic switches. I pulled the door seal back already. These are just pressure fitted in there. And then I took the lower seat belt out. See the bolts right here, it's a 14 millimeter. I just pulled it through the headrest to keep it tensioned out. And now I'm gonna use my panel popper here. And right inside here, you can barely see it, but there's a couple of clips. If you pull back on it, right here, probably not gonna be able to see it, but there's a couple of clips. You just gotta pop. There's one right there. You got a couple of clips at the top, on the rear and the front. Pop those, and then the bottom ones, there you don't really pop these; they'll just come right out. Magnetic door switches, it needs to be routed in here. It's also going to get grounded somewhere right here. It's going to be grounded off of this ground wire here. This is the passenger front door. Got the magnetic switch installed. Be careful taking off the double-sided tape off of this. I accidentally took it off completely when I did the rear one. And you run it over here and underneath the door seal here, and it's ran out to the back side over here. And I'm gonna probably wire tie it and follow the factory harness down. I've already routed the brown wire from the front all the way back over here and connected it, and we're just gonna follow along the factory harness all the way over to where it came out from underneath the truck to the controller. All right, this is the passenger rear door. The switch is installed at the bottom of the door here in the middle B pillar, and it's a parallel or right across from the bottom of the door hinge here. As you can see, the run for this one's super short, so didn't really need double-sided tape, so I lucked out here to keep it in place. It's right underneath the door seal here and out the back, and we're gonna try to run all the wires down under here, and kind of all the excess wires, we'll keep them all down under here. The ground wire is routed up and along. I'm gonna zip tie it along this factory harness here, and there's actually a factory ground right in the middle here that we'll be using, or we are using. Actually, I need to fix that. Not quite installed all the way, so I'm gonna fix that here in a second. All right, it's all fixed, nice and grounded. Now we just gotta do the driver's side. In order to run the driver's side, we're gonna take the white wire, and we're gonna run it underneath the dash over here, underneath the carpet over to the driver's side. And then we also have the switch override one right here. This one has that plug. I don't know why they made this thing so short, but hopefully this will make it over to the other side where we're gonna install the switch. Driver's side's all done. Got the ground ran over to the ground over here. I looped it up to take up some of the slack. I'm gonna zip tie it along the harness here. And I ran this one sideways. I don't know if this is gonna work this way or not. I may have to redo it. I didn't realize it until I installed it, because it is a lot cleaner this way. But I don't know if it's gonna be an issue with the magnetic strip catching on the other side for it to activate. This is the driver front one. It's already installed. The fun part now is going to be running those wires from that passenger floor over to the driver's side, and those two wires. I got this grabber tool here. I can open it up. It's going to grab the wire, close it, and then I should be able to pull it through from under there. If you don't have one of these, you can use the coat hanger method. Right, to gain a little bit more room, this little cover underneath here, there's little tabs. You just push in on them, so you can see, it just pushes in like so, and that'll allow you to release it. I'll give us a little bit more room under here. I've got a wire tied. You can see there's the tunnel to run the wire through. I don't even need that little tool to run the wire. Looks like it's a pretty open channel. All right, I got this panel popped out. You gotta take the side piece off, pops right out. Then you'll be able to pull this out far enough to get behind to push this out behind it. There's a couple of clips. They are pretty stiff, but I was able to get this out, get the switch out. There's a couple of clips on each side that holds it in place. So you just gotta put a screwdriver in on each side, and then this will pull out towards the back. Pull out towards the back. And right here, that's the ideal location for it because this switch is about the same size as that hole right there. The problem is trying to mount it in there without the switch. It's a little hard. So I like to have it taped to this. Issue is trying to get the wire to run behind it and still have it fit this back in place. I drilled a small hole right here at the bottom. This is the top with the notch, and I dremelled out the side, and that should be enough for the wire to tuck in behind it. Now this wire normally comes out like this, and there's a plastic tab right here. I kind of cut back onto it and broke it just so I can get the wire to tuck in even tighter so it will fall behind it so you can't see it. There you go. Alright, I had Dremel it out wider, got the wire through. It's on the back side, so now I can reinstall this and pull the switch through. So it fits like so. I reworked the switch a little bit. I got it drilled up a little higher so the wire can run a little cleaner, and that way the switch can be installed a little more flush with the blank. Right, there it is installed. Wires ran out the back and got the hole a little more centered. Alright, there it is. I got it installed. You can see the wires run behind it. It's pretty flush. I like it. Now we can continue finishing up the wiring. It's got the on and off switch. It's got power ready, so the steps are gonna do its thing. Just gotta get the boards on and get everything adjusted. What it looks like installed back in the dash. Nice and flush. And then the wire that was ran through. Looks like there was plenty of slack, so I'll be able to feed some of it back over to the other side. And then I just gotta figure out the white wire to get to all to the door switches. All right, got the white wire ran. I just pulled back on the carpet here and I ran it underneath the carpet and across. It's coming out right here. I'm running along with the factory harness here. And it's plugged in to the driver's side switches, magnetic switches. And we're just gonna zip tie all the wires and get everything put back together. On the passenger side, I had to pull up on the carpet, and the switch one surprisingly has a long enough length. You can see right here, the connector is actually over here, I think just up there somewhere. I'm gonna run it along the black underneath the carpet over here, and it's gonna come down to where it is. The white one, unfortunately, is not long enough for me to route underneath this unless I pull this out, and I really don't want to mess with these things because they look like one-time use. So we're just gonna keep it just above the carpet. It shouldn't be an issue. All right, that's back in place. We just gotta put this cover back in and start putting all the covers back on, and then get the boards adjusted and installed. I originally have it installed like this, but the installation looks like crap, so I'm gonna actually take it off and redo it so it looks like the driver's side. All right, remounted it so it looks a lot cleaner sideways, and I have it test fitted right in the location where I think it needs to be. It looks pretty aligned. Steps are down right now. Close the door. It works. Got the front one. It's not fully installed yet, but you get an idea where it's at. The front one, unfortunately, needs to be where it's at. Wish it could be in a different spot, but that will do. Also, you want to make sure you run this above this little spot here. Originally was going to do it here because it was recessed and probably better for the wire, but if you look on the door, this little nub hits there, so that would have been an issue. All right, we got all the plastics put back together. Got one of the fuses removed so I can put the boards on. But you can see the electrical is hooked up here and underneath here. And the wire is just long enough with just a little play. So it seems to work out for the hybrid. Definitely installation's a little harder, or more time consuming, I should say. And now we just gotta put these boards on. They're disabled, no power, so they're down. Make it a little easier to install. All right, got the steps installed. And you can see with them up, there's plenty of clearance with the controller being reverse mounted on the bottom side instead of on top, because there really is no clearance for it. And I needed this as far forward as I could for the wiring to get inside the cab to run for the switch, and also the power was a little tricky with this location here, but I managed to get it all to work.